it seems as though you kept hammering the point of, we got to get away from division. And I think that's the whole, for my study and my research, we've been hypnotized by matter.
Let me show you how they explain it to you.
Yeah.
It's called the accuser.
The accuser.
The accuser. So what the accuser does is it tries to drive a wedge. That's why the symbol is a sword between you and your brother. Now we're all brothers and sisters, fathers against mothers, sons against daughters. It tries to drive a wedge. Okay. Now this wedge is actually what even the Sumerian gods are holding inside of their hands as a pine cone at the tree, because they also use it to drive a wedge into realities in order to get in. Even the physical body, wedges get driven underneath the back part where you normally can't reach. That's where the wedge is driven for entities to attach on to even the human body. So as I said before, with the blueprint, when you just master one thing, mainly yourself, all the other stuff unlocks because it runs on the same codes. And so it does take some time for you to begin to crunch it. Just like if you open up a big program on a computer, it's going to take a little bit of time for it to load. But what happens is when you have the blueprint, that becomes your new operating system to how you're breaking down knowledge. And you'll find so many correspondences to what you just thought was an idea. It rapidly becomes truth. And then you realize you have become truth. So it's like you can't even speak falsehood because everything that you're saying, you can completely break down and it's already happening. Just like we talked about the flow. You start to be able to do this consistently. You can go on a 50-hour interview where not one thing was said twice and you're still ciphering the wheel of knowledge. And this is also because how long have we been here? Let's just agree we've been here for billions of years. How long then? Let's just agree thousands of years. How long would it take me then to recount back everything that's happened, especially in English, at any detail? It's going to take at least 100 years. So here we are. We're in these 1 hour, 2 hour conversations, attempting to cram the entire cosmic experience all into this. And true, English has become our Ebonics in this case, because now we're using these chopped up codes and somehow it's still making sense. And that is, again, the Ebonic aspect of things, because it makes sense to us. The dialect, we start being able to, like, let's say roaches that start becoming immune to the raid. It's a process of us saying that I don't care what we go through. We're so strong and we have already all this DNA as a reference. We're going to get through this. And do you know, on the bigger level, what they say that is mapping out the chasm. They call this that the only thing that's really holding us together is basically us, are the DNA, the animals, the string, that we're all holding hands in a metaphoric way in a chasm, a womb that is so big, it doesn't actually have a bottom. It's like where nothing comes from. It starts getting into all that kind of weird paradoxical stuff. It doesn't have a top. So what we decided to do, and this is like what builders really are, was actually create the space, the measurements, the vault, the height, the cadman, the place we can lay the babies, the memories. We built this. And again, to let it go into the level that it is now is almost like a perfect opportunity for someone that is hearing this message to realize why they need to be waking up. Because if there was, even if a person believed in, you know how when you believe in something, it changes. When you really believe it, it changes your whole everything. If I told you you'll get a meal stack tomorrow and you believed it because you won Public Clearing House, or you went and you did the scratch off, right? You went and got the thing. And so, you know, you sat down that night, you scratched that thing off, 1 million, 1 million, 1 million. What's going to happen? And you ain't going to sleep, my guy. If you go to sleep, this is the worst story. You're not going to sleep. Why? Because somehow what you just thought energetically powered you. So why are we not seeing that it is what we think that becomes our energetic power? And then when we start opening that up, that's called group share, load balancing. You start including even the most wretched in your plan to actually raise everything into a higher conscious. This means you're a deep dredger. It's like, this dude is deep. He talk about even taking double brain Yaku and the master race that he created back to the craft. This shit is wild. So you gotta be that flexible with this in order to truly experience who you are. And of course, we're just getting there. But the people who we admire the most are the people who have the most command on their character of being real, that they're like unapologetically real. And then there's, of course, that what sits on the behind, the actual program or the altered consciousnesses that are just trying to fit into a certain loophole so they can feel like they belong, right? So, and everything on that sliding scale. And that's why I was saying it is your choice to what kind of future you're going to be living into, but you would have to make that choice very soon. Like, this is a real thing. 2020 is no joke. I can tell you on multiple levels, it's not just a metaphysical thing. It's a technological thing. All of that. 2020, you need that year, that complete year to one, discover your uniqueness. Okay. This is like the fruit on your own personal tree. You can produce this endlessly. You don't get tired. You don't even feel like you need to eat when you do it. That's kind of a hint towards it. If you get in the studio and when you start flowing, you in there for 5 hours and they had you hungry. You're like, no, I'm good. And you're all charged up. Well, that's your uniqueness. Some people have different type. You in there doing an artisan bracelet. It's all night and you come out with this master. That's your uniqueness. Then you take that uniqueness and instead of and work with that and let that become empowerment for you. And that's also why we built this new platform, because the new platform is service to community. I have a saying, it's called STS, which is service to self versus service to community. Etsy is a service to community. Facebook is a service to community, or it has that design. YouTube is a service to community. It has that design. I'm just going to pull something out real quick about what it's like to be a serial entrepreneur and what you really learn in all of this. What you learn is the people who never get anything or never get on top is because they're service to self. They don't build things for others. Like, that's what the big difference is with even this channel. What is Brother Rich been doing? Bringing in all these folks. He even got me on here. He's not saying, I don't want to bring that dude on, because if I bring him on, he's going to take everybody I know. You see that? I know some cats out there. They may even be listening, and they're just like that. They won't put anybody on to something. But see, that is a product of colonialization and being poor. Because notice how that is the total misconception of how things work. You see how at eBay, did eBay post any products for themselves? Does eBay have any products? No, you post a product. Does Facebook post something on their timeline? No, you post on the timeline. Does YouTube make videos for themselves? They got one little small channel. Do they take up all the channels? No, move out of the way. That's what happened to Yahoo. Yahoo was trying to curate everything, and people said, I don't need you to censor this shit for me. I'll go over here, and they died. So what it's saying is that old greedy Smeagol kind of character, Solomon holding on to the last ring kind of behavior, expecting that you got something that if you really got something, nobody can take it. If you feel like other people can take it, that's not your uniqueness. It's your uniqueness is present just as your fingerprint, the spiral on the back of your head, and the spiral on the sole of your feet. It is there. It's not something someone has to give you. You have it, but it is a treasure. And that's why I was saying before about, like, you talk about earth. Why does it seem like all the entities want earth? Earth is metaphoric for the body. So you can then gander that other beings want your body. Why do they want it? Well, it's encrusted with jewels. All they got to do is mine you. And once they're in your mind, now they snatching your jewels right out, right? Like that. Mine you, and once they're in your mind. I will tell you that the greatest power that we have is together. There's something special about us. Like, if you don't feel like you can connect with somebody, trust me, there's someone that can bridge you in that person. The reality is that this is something that we realize when you see a kid. I don't care what, like, even like they always say, the baby of something is always cute. You know, even the baby alligator is cute. But you get that grown ass alligator, you ain't cute no more. So this is what you got to realize also about even the races, colors, codes, and creeds, and everything that was used to put this primordial soup together. That the babies of them you would love. But now that everybody's got adult and ignorant, you're starting not to like a lot of the people and a lot of the things going on around you. So you got to go back within. And this is exactly the reward. So this is not a punishment-based system either. You know, the dogmas are always punishment-based. You do it, or you go to hell and all this kind of shit. This is a reward-based system. You do it, you go into sovereignty. You get the actual power and the ability to actually take over not only your life, but possibly your mother's, your father's, being able to assist them in getting on their feet. You go into mentorship. You're actually able to hold up. You become a foundation. That's the whole thing about Saturn in the square. It's a foundation. We build on foundations. We don't build on spheres. You ever seen somebody trying to balance themselves on a sphere? It doesn't happen. You take a cube. It's a reference to salt. Salt is the cube. It is the flavor of the world. That is the mineral. So we start first with the square because it ain't going to move. And then generally, of course, the square is low, is black. Like they talk about the Kaaba, it's black from all the sins of the world. And it's because of what I was telling you, all of that wisdom, all of that knowledge, all that experience, it does create a slow moving planet, Saturn. But that is also the foundation, the black pillar on the bottom of the ziggurat for the next stage and the next stage. And also your chakras are built the same way. You got the base pillar, the square there. So this is not somebody else's knowledge. You can check back within your own self and say, okay, this is how it's built. And even they have diagrams that show you it's the crescent moon, then the square, then the triangle. And when you look at it all together, it just looks like a person, just like a square and a triangle looks like a house. Right. These are the metaphorical and metaphysical codes that actually unlock the sacred kingdom. But if you now say the pyramid's a prison, or you say it belongs to them, the Illuminati, now they just took your signet ring. And also they just took your wonder weapon, because you're going to need the battle cries of Orion and everything else to be able to keep your heart alive, to rage against the dying of the light. All we're just talking about is to keep from getting bored and feeling like that you can't do anything about the situation that's going on now. That is the dying of the light. So these things, these tools and these metaphors, and even more importantly, us together, it charges us up to actually be able to come into this. And of course, we need each other, because at the end of the day, I don't want to do all of this. Like, I launched off headlong. I've been 3 years in developing a platform. It took that long because of the skeleton crew we were on. You had Google do it. They would have had it done in about 2 weeks because they got that kind of infrastructure. So now we're being wise. We're realizing that we don't want to turn down anything but our collar. If we can get skills, people in different places, people that are aware of certain things, but all in alignment and a resonance to realize that all is self, let go.